بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه. أشهد أنه قد بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة ومحى الغمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. فصلاة وسلاما على عبدك ونبيك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم عزيز عليه ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال: قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أنا سيد ولد آدم يوم القيامة وأول من يشق عنه القبر وأول شافع وأول مشفع. رواه مسلم أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. أما بعد, all praise to Allah, all praise to Allah, the one, the only, the one who should be worshipped. I bear witness that He is the creator of this universe and He is the one who should be worshipped. I bear witness that Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is His messenger, true mercy sent to us. If you follow His path, inshallah, will be in Jannah. Amma ba'd. Today, we will talk about the best creation that Allah gave us. The creation that, because of Him, He guided us to the right path. The creation that Allah gave us as a gift from the Quran to guide us and show us how can we live our lives. We were talking about Rasulullah alayhi salatu wassalam. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, born on Monday, as the hadith said, عن أبي قتادة رضي الله عنه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: سئل عن صوم يوم اثنين قال: فيه ولدت وفيه أنزل علي. That Monday he was born عليه الصلاة والسلام, and not only that, he was born on that day, and this is the day that the Quran was revealed on him. Now comes, always every year comes the question, 12 Rabi' al-Awwal, is this the day of his birth? I have to tell you, we don't have any proof of that. None, zero. No authenticated hadith that he was born on 12 Rabi' al-Awwal. But we have an authenticated that he died on that day. He died on 12 Rabi' al-Awwal, a Monday. We have that. But we don't have when he was born. Then really, if you go and celebrate that day, you're celebrating his death. But the question is, the Prophet ﷺ, if I ask anyone, what do you know about the Prophet? I'll be surprised. I was in an Islamic school and I talked to everyone on the grade 12 students, and I told them, talk for 2 minutes about the Prophet. And last year, as this year, I'm telling everyone, talk to me for 2 minutes about the Prophet and I'll give you a prize. Tell your youth, come next week, we have still Monday, his 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal is the 19th of October. Then really, if you can bring your youth and talk to me after the khutbah or any time for 2 minutes about the Prophet, there will be a prize. And I'm not joking about it. Because really, we need to tell them who is the Prophet. Most of us, if I told them about LeBron James, will know all the information in the world about him. There was even some broadcast that's saying, what's the Prophet name? And wallahi, I heard everything. His name is Muhammad. And then, nothing after that. They don't know anything about the Prophet. They don't know who's his mother, what's happening to him. This is really a big thing. But we know everything about Messi or Stia or whatever this player or whatever name is, and he went from this place to that place for that amount of money. We know everything about him. We know how to, for the under 25, play Fortnite and know all the entries and exits. But who is your Prophet? And okay, you see, we have a Prophet? Really? And it's surprise, yes, we have a Prophet. And let's talk about it quickly. Who is our Prophet? First, like I said, he was born on Monday. His father died, Abdullah, even he didn't know his wife is pregnant. He went and died. And his mother, Amina, binti Wahb. And at that time, they used to give the youth to someone to feed him outside Mecca, because Mecca was a city and they have to give him out. Who is his first feeder? Is Halima as-Sa'diyya. She took him out for 2 years and then came back to his mother. I said, keep him 1 more year. She saw the barakah in everything. And this is by itself as a khutbah. How barakah was there when he was less than 2 years. And after that, she took him, and hadithat shaq al-sadr came. His brother was playing with him and he saw 2 men came to him, opened his heart. And his mother, from breastfeeding, she got scared. And he returned him back to his mother. And his mother told her, what happened? And she said, this is the situation. She said, I saw a dream, a ru'ya, that he will be the prophet of this universe. And subhanallah, his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, named him Muhammad. Muhammad wasn't a popular name at that time. Muhammad wasn't a popular name. And subhanallah, with that being said, in this era, statistically, Muhammad is the most popular name. Statistically, Muhammad is the most popular. And even we have a joke back home. Someone went back home and he was searching for Muhammad. Laugh. Anyway, Muhammad was so popular these days that everyone is naming himself Muhammad. Then when he was 6, his mother died. And he moved to his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. He stayed with him for 2 extra years. And Abdul Muttalib was always bringing him forward. Even there is a space in the Masjid al-Haram, there is no one should be sitting on him except Abdul Muttalib. But his young son, grandson, Muhammad, used to go and sit there. And he was approving that. Then he moved to, when he was 8, he went to his uncle, Abu Talib. And from that time, he stayed with him until he was 14. And Abu Talib took him to a merchant. And when his way there, they came across what do you call it? Not a priest. A priest is called Bahaira, but the place itself, I forgot the name. Anyway, the place that the priest sits in. And he saw him and he said, take your nephew back home. Take him back home. And he took him back home. When he was 40, he used to like to sit alone. Alayhi salatu wassalam. And when one day he was sitting alone, he found someone there in front of him. And at that time, until today, if imagine you're sitting alone in a room and you find someone in front of you, you panic. Whoever you are, I'll panic. I'm just honest with myself. Imagine that you're sitting in your bedroom and you see someone in front of you. Yeah, immediately panic. How did he come in? And not only that, he holds him and he said, read. And the Prophet cannot read. And he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, I cannot read. And he hugged him. Imagine someone is hugging you. Hug. Strong man. Hug you. And he released him and he said, read. I believe this is the way it is. Read. In a higher tone of voice. And the Prophet didn't read, cannot read. He said, I don't read. And now again for the 3rd time. For the 2nd time he held him. And the Prophet couldn't breathe and said, let him go. I said, read. The Prophet for the 3rd time, he said, I cannot read. And the man hugged him hard until the Prophet said, my breath was almost gonna die. And he released him. I said, read. And now the Prophet hold back. He said, what do you want me to read? Now, I'll take something outside of that. If you know someone and you try to ask him for a favor, ask him 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And the 3rd time, don't repeat it. From that, don't repeat it anymore. Because you shouldn't be. If he told you cannot do it, he cannot do it. Let's complete the story. Alayhi salatu wassalam. When he released him the 3rd time, and the first thing, اقرأ. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. And that's it. And he vanished. Where do you go? He's sitting, if anyone goes to Ghar Hira, it's above almost a hill. You can see Mecca from there. Where did you go? And the Prophet really panicked. He ran away towards his home. And when he was going to his home, Sayyidina Jibreel came to him in his physical way, in normal way. He saw Sayyidina Jibreel up the sky, blocking everywhere. The Prophet looks everywhere and he couldn't see him, except Sayyidina Jibreel. And he said, Ya Muhammad, innaka Rasulullah. And the Prophet ﷺ froze in his place until, the panic went away and he ran toward the Khadija, his first wife. Imagine you coming home panicking to your wife. What are you going to do? What's your wife will tell you? Where have you been? What did you do? Why do you panic, right? You see that? But no, Khadija said, calm down. And she covered him. Sleep. That's why Mudaththir, sit, sleep, relax. Until he calmed him down. I said, what's the problem? And he told her what happened. I said, okay. Look, the first faqih in Islam, most of the scholars said, was Ummuna Khadija, our mother Khadija, the first faqihah in Islam. Why? She said, Wallahi la yukhzika Allahu abad. Allah will never let you go. Why? Because innaka la tasiru rahim. First thing, you connect to your womb. Who connects to his parents and family? If you have a catastrophe, this will happen. Allah will support you. You remember the seventh bridge? This is the seventh bridge. Remember the womb, the rahim. And she told them a whole story. And she said, come with me. Let's go to Waraqa ibn Nawfal. He's a knowledgeable person. With that, always, if you have a question, try to find a knowledgeable person. If you have a problem, pain in your body, you don't go to an engineer to tell him, I have a pain in the body, what can I do? Or you go to a brother who is expert in photography and say, oh, what do you think in my body? Who do you go? To a doctor. Now the same thing. Go to the expert of this field. Try to find the right one. And what happened? She went to Waraqa. And when he told him what happened, he told him that you are the Prophet. I hope that I was young to support you. That's why the Prophet saw him in Jannah. Because he was the first one who came, even though Islam wasn't revealed yet. Then the Prophet started conveying the message to his family, one by one. And after 3 years, he went to Mecca, ahead of one of the mountains of Mecca, and started yelling, I am the Prophet. I'm running quickly now because in each part I can stay for not khutbah for a whole day. And then after that, he stayed in Mecca for 13 years. He saw everything hard on him. His wife died after 10 years of da'wah. 10 years. He was 50 when his wife died. Someone's telling us, the Prophet likes to get married. Okay, he was 50 when his wife died. He could have married at that time or before. He stayed 5 years. He didn't marry anyone. He went to Medina after that when he was 50. Oh, I missed something. And when he was 50, when his wife died and his uncle died, the two support, as Allah is sending him a message, if the support of the dunya is gone, the support of the akhirah is there. And he took him, when you are so stressed out, so depressed, in a world, you see it dark, what your friend comes in, let's go and have some fun. Let's go to the beach. Let's go to show you something. Allah took him to a trip, one of the best trips in the world. He took him from Mecca to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, Al-Buraq. That's why if anyone disbelieves that a Prophet went from Masjid Al-Aqsa to Masjid Al-Haram, Masjid Al-Aqsa, the ulama said he's out of Islam. Because it's in the Quran. سبحان الذي أسرى بعبده ليلا من المسجد الحرام إلى المسجد الأقصى الذي باركنا حوله. Then really you cannot dispute that, or you're disputing the ayat of the Quran. And now he went from Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa to the heavens until he met Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there, what happened there? Salah came down on him 5 times. Look at that. Imagine that you want to deliver a message Imagine a king want to deliver a message. What happens? It's not that important. He sent him a text message. It's a more important message. Secretary, call this person and tell him that. More important message. He sent a minister. More important message. Bring him in. I want him. This is a very important message. What is that message? Allah brought Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam to his place, to Sidrat al-Muntaha, to reveal him prayer. That's why men, you don't have any excuse if you don't pray. Because prayer is in. Allah gave him in the higher status, subhanallah. Then he came down. Our story again, inshallah we'll talk about it. And then it came the wars and Bay'at al-Aqaba al-Ula and Thaniya. Yes. And then he went the Prophet after that when he was 53 to Medina. And he stayed that for 10 years. In the 6th year was Sulh al-Hudaybiyah. After 6 years, the Prophet was how old now? 59. The Prophet went to Sulh al-Hudaybiyah and then Fath Makkah when he was 60. Makkah was open. And subhanallah, the Prophet died, alayhi salatu wasalam. But before he died, what happened? This is what I'm going to talk about inshallah in the second part of the khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله عليكم فاستغفروا يا فاصل مستغفرين. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا اللهم ارحمنا اللهم اهدنا اللهم ارحمنا اللهم اغفر لنا. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. أما بعد. When he was dying, the Prophet said, As-salah. The last thing, before he imagine that you're going to die, what's the last thing you want to say? Oh, my money? You're leaving. My kids? No. What's the most important? The Prophet said, As-salah. As-salah. Astawsu bis-salah. Then astawsu bin-nisa. And women. Because the women are the one who bring us up. All the men. You're coming from a mother or a sister or a daughter to support you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he described the Prophet, imagine someone is describing you. If someone can describe me, he would say, you know the khatib with a loud voice. I'm known by a loud voice. I have no problem. Good. Hopefully I'm not offending anyone. May Allah forgive me. But what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, the best description of the Prophet. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. This is the best description. Then if you want to follow the Prophet's footsteps, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? You be on the khuluq. Try to achieve. That's why ذهب حسن الخلق بالأجر. حسن الخلق took everything. And there is another hadith that if you want to buy a house in Jannah, in the lower part, أنا زعيم بيت في ربد الجنة لمن ترك الكذب ولو كان الامرأة ولو كان محقة وزعيم بيت في وسط الجنة لمن ترك الكذب ولو كان مازحا وزعيم بيت في أعلى الجنة لمن حسن خلقه. I am guaranteeing someone, if in the lower part of Jannah, if you take not the discussion without any purpose. Some people, you keep on discussing and you're not going anywhere. You stop the discussion. A Prophet said that you have a house in lower part of Jannah. And the middle of Jannah, لمن ترك الكذب ولو كان مازحا. April Fools, it's coming. Let's take April Fools a lie. No. Even if you're lying, stop. Our Prophet guarantees the house in the middle part of Jannah. If you want the house in the middle of Jannah, stop the lying. And if you want the higher part of Jannah, what? If you have good morals. حسن خلقه عليه الصلاة والسلام. Now you need to know who is the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. One last thing I have to talk about. A khatib one day was standing in Egypt. It's a true story. And he's talking about the king, King Fuad at that time. Came Taha Hussein, he was a blind person. And the man said about the king, he wanted to show off to him. The king, ما عبس وما تولى. When Taha Hussein came, he didn't frown. He didn't frown and he didn't move away. And who was there? Sheikh Mahmoud Shakir. Who is Mahmoud Shakir? He was the deputy of Al-Azhar. After the prayer, he stood up in front of everyone and he said, everyone, repeat your prayer. Pray al-Dhuhr. Everyone in the mosque, pray al-Dhuhr. لقد كفر إمامكم. Your khatib is a kafir. Why? Because تعرض لرسول الله. تعرض. Only he said that the man said that the man, this king, مات ما عبس وما تولى. He didn't frown or he didn't even go away because Taha Hussein was here. What is he aiming for? The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, when he met Abdullah ibn Maktoum, عبس وتولى. He frowned. He wanted to give him some time. Even when you talk about the Prophet, behave and make sure that you can come out of this religion immediately. Because when you talk about the Prophet ﷺ, behave. Make sure that you are good when you talk about him. Because easily we can leave religion because of that. Someone will say, really? Yeah, really. Really. We can imagine that you go to the president of Korea, North Korea, and you talk about him bad. What happened to you? I think you will not even finish the statement. I'm not saying that the Prophet is like that, but I'm saying that we have to behave. We have to behave when you talk about the Prophet who guided you. I'll finish with the story of Sayyidina Umar when he was talking about the Prophet, and the Prophet لا يكمل إيمان أحدكم, the one who will not, his iman will not be complete until يكون الله ورسوله, Allah and his messenger is the most beloved to him. And Sayyidina Umar answered the question that Allah I was going to ask. He said, yes, ya O Prophet, you are better to me than my family, my money, but myself? Myself? No. Give me a minute. And the Prophet again repeated the statement, لا يكمل إيمان أحدكم. Your iman will not be perfect until you love the Prophet more than you love your family, your money, and yourself. And Sayyidina Umar said, hold. I have to think about it. Give me a second. He moved away, and who's narrating the hadith? Abdullah, his son. And he went back to the Prophet, O Prophet, I love you more than I love myself. And Abdullah ibn Umar asked his father, why? Why did you change? And he said, the Prophet is guiding me to Jannah. My nafs will take me to the hellfire. Everyone wants, why to pray, what to do this, why the Prophet is more valuable to me. If he is more valuable to you, what do you know about him? That's the challenge. Everyone is here. I'll put the challenge which I put in the beginning. If you talk to me after the khutbah for 2 minutes, about the Prophet ﷺ, I'll give you a reward. I'm not joking about it. Please come, inshallah, from today until 19th of October, which is the day the Prophet died, 12th of Rabi' al-Awwal. That's the day of he died, ﷺ. Lastly but not least, remember, we have Dar al-Quran here. If you want your youth to learn about the Prophet and learn about the Quran, remember, talk to your family about the Prophet. Talk to them in a way that they know him more. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت اللهم اجمعنا ولا تفرقنا اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا اللهم الحقنا بنبيك ما آمنا به ولم نره اللهم الحقنا بنبيك ما آمنا به ولم نره اللهم الحقنا بنبيك ما آمنا به ولم نره اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وتوفنا صالحين وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وقوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله وأقم الصلاة